Hey folks, welcome back to eczemahealing.org. I hope you're all doing well. I've got a great question that somebody asked on the Eczema Healing Community Facebook group, and I'm going to get into that. But first, I just want to touch on salt, because salt has come up in a couple of people that are very close to me. I've had conversations with people about salt, and what's really struck me is how surprised they are by how much salt that they're eating. Now, in the UK, there is a upper limit to salt consumption per day, which is 6 grams of salt. That's 6,000 milligrams, which, as far as I'm concerned, and as far as you should all be concerned if you're trying to heal your skin, or any disease for that matter, that is a huge amount of salt, and I don't believe we should be going anywhere near that upper limit. It's one of the few limits which is higher in the UK than is in some of the other countries like the US, which I think is only 3 or 4 grams, which is still crazy high. And to sum up on salt, really, for the eczema healing program, you should be trying to keep your salt intake below 1,000 milligrams, below 1 gram, or at least below 2 grams of salt. And that's easy to do if you're cooking all of your own stuff, if you're eating a highly fruit-based, plant-based diet. That should be very simple and straightforward to do. And the key thing to remember about salt is if you've got any sort of puffiness or fluidity or just wobbliness on your body, a lot of that might not be fat. A lot of that might just be water retention from having too much salt in your diet. And the way to get rid of it is to do lots of sweating and reduce the salt in your diet now, and then as you move your body and go forwards with it, your excess water retention should shed off your body over time, and that will make it easier for you to heal your skin and just overall feel better, healthier, fitter, and slimmer as well, if that's something that you're aiming to do. Remember that salt stores 100 times its own weight in water. So if you've got a gram of salt in your body is going to dilute that with 100 grams, which is 100 mils of water. So if you imagine all of that adding up, all that excess salt in your body is going to add up to excess weight and blubber on your body that you don't really want to have around. So, to get into today's question, it's from Noda Italia, who's a new member of the Eczema Healing community on Facebook. So thank you very much for joining the group. You're very welcome, and thank you for posting about your daughter as well. So Noda says, I just started my 5-year-old daughter healing plan this week, but wondered why every year the eczema comes back in the winter. During the other seasons, it's much better. I'm really strict in diet right now, but the point is we eat almost the same during winter and spring, and her eczema always flares up this month. So does that mean it is not food related? Another question to understand eczema a little bit more. My daughter has eczema on her arms and neck. During the day she is fine. It does itch, but sometimes around 6:30 when she's going to bed, she is itching very hard. She's not faking it, so she hasn't got to go to bed. She doesn't go to bed because she loves to sleep. But my question actually is, how much time after meals should you get a reaction when you've eaten something which isn't good for you? Itching before bed, does that mean dinner is making her sick? We always cook once and eat the same meal for lunch and dinner, so why isn't she reacting as bad after lunch then? What a complexity. Thank you, A. So, Noda, thank you for your question, and there's a few little bits and pieces in there which are quite interesting. And let's go from the top. So firstly, why is her eczema coming back in the winter, but during other seasons it's much better? Does that mean it's not food related? Well, it means that there are factors other than food that are related to your daughter's eczema. So it doesn't mean it's nothing to do with food, but it does mean that there are other factors which are coming up in the wintertime. I was the same as your daughter in that the winter months for me were the hardest, because there's a sort of a dryness to the skin, and there's much less natural vitamin D available, and you're less likely as well in the wintertime to be eating fruits and moving your body more as well. So there are some environmental aspects to the winter, as well as some climatic aspects and some mental aspects too. Your hormones are different in the winter time because of just less sun being around. You get the winter blues, you get post-Christmas blues. There's all sorts of little facets which could be at play here. Never underestimate the amount that hormonal changes can have on your skin. So, but that doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't continue to eat well, live well in general. Going on to what you say about during the day she's fine. So yeah, this thing about having the same meal during the day as you are having in the evening, but she's only reacting in the evening. This is, so everybody's body goes through stages of each day. So when you wake up in the morning, quite often your body is still going through a little bit of the rest and recuperation cycle that it was going through overnight. And then as you progress into the day, your body gets more steered towards digestion, which is the creation of fresh nutrients for the day coming up. And then in the evening time, you might go through a more restful relaxation period where your body's starting to wind down back towards that rebuilding and recuperation stuff that you do overnight. And so because of these different phases, your body can act differently to when it's presented with certain foods. And that might be one of the reasons why you're getting a different reaction at lunchtime as you are getting in the evening. And so if you're with your daughter having virtually no reactions during the day when she's eating the meal, then maybe that's telling you this is the kind of person that needs to be having most of her food, her big meal in the middle of the day. And then in the evening time, you just want to take it really easy. Don't give her anything too crazy. Have a meal that is 3 or 4 ingredients at the most so that it's really easy to digest and she's not going to react to it. It's interesting that you say she's reacting straight away to the food. That might be gut related. It might be because she's got problems with her gut right now, and so she's reacting to these foods. So they are acting as allergens in her body. But once you get those things sorted out, she shouldn't be reacting to those things anymore. And so you should be able to eat those things no problem in the future, providing they're not fully blown anaphylactic allergens that she's always going to react to. And some people do have those. But if they're just sort of itching and nothing too crazy, nothing life-threatening, there's a high chance that when she gets out the other side, she'll be able to enjoy more of those foods in general. But my main advice would be to make sure she's getting enough sleep, make sure she's getting enough hydration, so from lots of fruits and water and that sort of thing, and try and work with these phases of the body. So if she's going well in the day with regards to the food that you're giving her, then go with that. Listen to her body in that way and give her the food during the day that she's able to digest it better. And as far as winter and the summer, have a think about the things that may be different around the winter time to the summertime. There's a lot of things that you perhaps won't have thought about, like people use different bedclothes, for example, at night, which can be completely different. Some people even live in a different place in the wintertime than they do in the summertime, and maybe they have more central heating on, so their skin and their bodies are just being more naturally dried out. So even though outside it might not be that different in humidity, the indoor humidity might be quite different, and that's having a knock-on effect as well. So those are a few things for you to think about. If you don't mind, Noda, I hope that you watch this video, and I hope that you can give us some update and some feedback on how your 5-year-old daughter is doing. It'd be really good to hear from you, so please post again in the group. Right, so that's it for today's video. There's going to be another video soon because there's some really great questions on this Facebook group that I want to address in video format. Until then, you're free to go, and I'll see you in the next video.